It was an incredible feeling. I was just so happy with it. I couldn't have asked much more of myself.
I'm working on being right here in this moment, enjoying this amazing day, winning my second Olympic medal. There's a lot of things that happen to get to this point.
It means so much to me, and you really got to love it enough to want to be at the top, and yeah, so stoked.
Seeing that level of perfection shows that it's possible. So lots can happen in 4 years. I'll be ready for it.
I think Australia has proved that it is a Winter Olympic player. We've had spectacular results for showing people that we already have the skills to be world class.
This is the 2 weeks where the athletes, they get to present themselves to our country and they get to present their sports to our country. So they enjoy the opportunity. This team was a team of really good people. They really supported each other and the team culture was first class.
To my fellow Beijing 2022 Australian Winter Olympic team members, the rest of the world has been put on notice. This has been the most successful games for our Australian Winter Olympic team, and I'm so proud of this moment and I will cherish it forever.
Well, welcome and good morning to everyone, and thank you for attending the Australian Olympic Committee annual general meeting, and thank you also for quite an enjoyable evening last night. Having a good chat to everyone upstairs. It was good to get together. Looking at the numbers today, this would be the largest gathering of sports for sport that occurs in the country, so I think this is a very important thing to think about as we head down the green and gold runway. Before we commence, the usual housekeeping items, phones to silent. If you require any, we've got a lot of AOC staff around the room. They're wearing the green polo. Please just ask and we'll look after you. And at the conclusion of the AGM, we're going to have the usual media conference, so we might just ask you to clear the room fairly quickly so we can roll into that. But before we go any further, most importantly, great pleasure to welcome Auntie Joan Bell, the Gadigal Elder, to the AGM and to deliver our welcome to country. Auntie Joan.
Thank you. The old legs aren't what they used to be. It's called old timers. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests. Hi, you look like you're waiting for me to do a dance. And that ain't gonna happen because my legs just won't let me do it. I'm here today to provide a welcome to country for the Olympic Committee. I reckon that's a big deal, me. And I'd just like to let you know that I support the people in government embracing the Uluru Statement from the heart: voice, treaty and truth-telling. But I don't support just any voice. It's got to be a voice that we want, that will talk for us, and not just a port carrier. And I want to let you know that I sit on the board of the Metropolitan Local Aboriginal Land Council, and that Metro LALC is the body for the protection and preservation of all Aboriginal culture and heritage within its boundaries. That includes Sydney CBD and surrounding 24 local government areas. From Canterbury Bankstown to Cessnock, and we are proud to acknowledge all respective traditional owners and custodians for this place, now called Sydney. My name is Joan Bell. My family and friends know me simply as Auntie Ding. Ding Bell? Come on, you guys have got to have a bit of a, you know. I could tell you a lot of stories that would make you laugh, but I haven't got that much time. They said you've only got this much time and stick to it. So that's it. I am a proud Wiradjuri Gadigal woman. My mother was Wiradjuri and my dad is the Gadigal. I am a mother of 10, a grandmother, a great-grandmother and a great-great-grandmother of 81 grandchildren. Thank you. And they all know me. My Gadigal ancestor was a local custodian who was taken to Parramatta's Natives Institute and in 1845 was taken by Reverend John Cartwright to Pajong, near Gunning, New South Wales, to work. That's Gundungara country, near Gunning. I was born at a little Central West, New South Wales Wiradjuri town called Peak Hill. However, I spent my younger years doing the walkabout with my family from one nation to the other. I had it good. I lived in both worlds, the Gadigal and the Wiradjuris. And I also lived on the block. You would have heard of the block in Redfern. It was good. I lived there for 15 years with my kids. We survived. I now live on the new block. I live in Waterloo, and that's pretty good. We honour our Gadigal Eora elders and leaders, including Barangaroo, Pemaway, and many others who fought the first boat people who landed in Sydney Cove in 1770 and 1778. My respects to Gadigal elders, past and present. We honour our matriarchs and patriarchs. Because of them, we can. My respects to all elders and peoples from other First Nations here today. We listen to the old people, ancestors, and they show us the right path. They protect us, they help us, they take care of us. And we firmly believe in the spirits of our ancestors. If we're doing wrong, they do come back and let us know. This welcome to country is made in the spirit of peace and harmony with all peoples of modern Sydney. Our aim as local custodians is to establish an atmosphere of mutual respect through the acknowledgement of our ancestors and the recognition of our right to declare our special place in the pre- and post-history of the Sydney region. Respect is taking responsibility for the past, the present and the future. Evidence of our occupation, ownership and nationhood can be seen everywhere throughout our country. Our signature is in the land, not just in our DNA. Respect is in the fire that warms the camp and the possum skin cloak that shelters all. We all know if you don't respect the fire, it will burn you. And the possum skin, we use that to make our blankets and our clothing, but we only kill what we need because we eat all the bush tucker. Respect is in how a woman digs in the earth for yams. And there's a special way that you do it. If you're not taught how to do it, you will make a mess of the land. And then karma will come back. Respect is in the rivers, the sea, and the breeze quietly moving through country. The law of this land says that you must respect and honour all the peoples and all parts of the country. With this welcome, we ask that you all will respect the law of the country. Give honour, be respectful, be polite, be gentle and patient with all. Respect is everything living and growing. Please look after the land, sea and rivers, then the land, sea and rivers will look after you. In conclusion, I say to you, respect shapes us and lifts up the people. This is my welcome to you from the heart. Welcome to the land of my ancestors. Welcome to my country. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Auntie Joan Bell. And with great pleasure now, he's not going to come to the podium, but the President of the Australian Olympic Committee, Ian Chesterman.
Thanks, Matt. Thank you. Thanks, Matt, and thanks very much, everybody. Good morning, and thank you very much, Auntie Joan, Auntie Ding. Thank you very much for your welcome to country. It was really wonderful. Thank you. It gives me great pleasure to declare this meeting, for which notice was given on March 6, 2023, open. I particularly take pleasure in welcoming our Life members, some who tell me they're getting closer to the 90 club. Some are already there, but wonderful to see you all here. Helen Brownlee, AM, John Coates, AC, Kevin Gosper, AO, and Judy's here too, thank you. Jeff Henke, AO, Peter Montgomery, AM. Fantastic to have you here, and thank you for your ongoing support. Joining me on the head table, IOC Vice President John Coates, AC. You okay there, in that seat? Yeah.
Very happy.
Our AOC Vice Presidents, Evelyn Halls and Matt Allen. Our 2024 Chef de Mission. Wonderful to have Anna Mears, OAM, here as well. Kate Campbell, OAM, OLY, our Athletes Commission Chair, doing a fantastic job. Thanks, Kate. And of course, you already heard from our CEO, Matt Carroll, AM. I welcome Dr. John Hewson, AM, Chair of the Olympic Foundation Investment Advisory Committee. Thank you, John, for all that you do. I also welcome the Athletes Commission Deputy Chair, Kenny Wallace, OAM, and other Athletes Commission members who are with us today. Our Indigenous Advisory Committee Chair, Patrick Johnson, who's fantastic in his job, Patrick Johnson, OLY, and Deputy Danny Mersu, OLY. Thank you very much for all you do as well. Medical Commission attendees, Doug Bain representing EY, our Sport 5 Managing Director, Australia New Zealand, Damien Mostyn, and to all delegates, welcome. I don't think we'll be here for overly long today, but I think it's an important time that we all get together. I particularly welcome the delegates from our newest voting sport, Skimo Australia, who are represented here today by Ed Forty. Wonderful to have that new sport on our program for 2026. We also have, I think, quite a large list of new presidents who joined us since our last meeting, and I welcome Andrew Sims from shooting, Alison Throssell from ice racing, Michelle Gallen from Swimming Australia, Liz Jack from diving, Melissa Mongan from archery, Alistair Murray from sailing, Laurie Whedon from curling, Hugh Eagling from taekwondo, Heath Spence from bobsleigh and skeleton, Philip Goods from boxing, Carol Mills from gymnastics, Ryan O'Handley from ice hockey, Mackie Tacken from modern pentathlon, and Daniel Bosco from snow. That's a big list, isn't it, of new presidents. Representatives of our State Olympic Council, State Advisory Committees and Australian Olympians Association, welcome to you. A very special welcome to our special guests of honour today, our award recipients, Mr Andy Kay and Steve Hooker, OAM, OLY, and his wife Katja. Lovely to have you all here today. So that just about rounds things out. I welcome observers, members of the media. I note apologies from our executive, Kitty Chiller AM, from our life members, Sir Donald Truscothick AC KBE, John Devitt, the great Johnny Devitt AM, Ron Harvey, CVO AM, who wanted me to make, he kindly rang me and wished me well for today, so he's going well, and Michael Wendon AM MBE. And also from our reward recipients, Kerry Stokes, AC. A full list of apologies, including from presidents of national federations and commissions, is available on our AOC website. If there are any other late apologies to record, please speak to General Counsel Marianne Muggleston over there, who's at the side of the room, and she'll include those in our formal meetings. It's with great sadness that we note and honour our Olympians, our administrators and great servants of our movement who have passed away over the past year. To mark this passing, we've prepared a special tribute video to them. It is in respect and memory of these colleagues that I ask you to stand and observe a moment of silence. Thank you. So on to item 4 on the agenda, aren't we ripping along? Minutes of the last annual general meeting were circulated with the agenda for this meeting on the 14th of April 2023. Does anybody have any comments to those minutes? If not, could I have a motion, please, that the minutes be confirmed as a true and correct record of the meeting? Thank you, Lane. Thank you, James. So, all those in favour, please indicate by raising your hand. Look like the ayes have it. Thank you very much. I declare the motion carried. Is there any business arising from the previous minutes that anyone wants to discuss? If not, we'll move on to the presentation by the CEO of the 2020 annual report, the financial statements of the committee and the independent auditor's report. Can I ask Matt Carroll to return to the lectern? Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Ian. So I'm pleased to report to the members that the Australian Olympic Committee is in good shape organisationally, culturally and financially. We're well positioned for the challenges and opportunity in the last 2 years of the Paris Quad and then the 8 years to the Games of the 35th Olympiad. I open this presentation with reference to our Climate Action Plan. Approved and announced in November 2022, it's set the pathway to achieve our first milestone of a 30% reduction by 2024, which is why you don't have a paper annual report on your tables today. And we have our first digital-only version, so which is a start down that track of reducing paper. Each year, the annual report lists the objectives of the AOC as set out in the Constitution. The objectives are, in effect, our strategic aims, providing the AOC with the clarity of our role and mission as a National Olympic Committee under the Olympic Charter. The challenge and focus is to ensure we successfully achieve and improve on this mission year on year. And for the Paris Quad of only 3 years, the AOC set itself 5 key ambitions: to continue to build on our organisational culture, capability and capacity, to ensure the AOC is well placed to achieve those objectives, to provide our member sports and our athletes with the support they need to maximise opportunities at Beijing 2022, Paris 2024 and obviously set the planning for Milan Cortina in 2026, and evolve our successful community and Olympian programs to drive further value for the Olympic movement across Australia and extend our leadership and advocacy for sport by utilising the 10-year runway to Brisbane 2032. And do it all through the prism of Brisbane 2032. To action these ambitions, 10 initiatives were approved by the Executive and they're listed in the report. And to monitor progress against each of those initiatives, the senior management team and I agreed measures and accountabilities, which were reported back to the Executive at the end of last year, with each initiative on track. So in effect, this annual report provides, via the various reports in it, details on the progress and outcomes of initiatives to date. Some of the highlights: successful planning, support and delivery of the Australian Olympic team to the 2022 Beijing Games. Again, during the pandemic, my thanks and congratulations to the chef de mission, Jeff Lipschitz, and the entire team management. A difficult job well done, keeping in mind the Games came just 6 months after the Summer Tokyo Games. And I'm sorry, a highlight for me, of course, was our first time competing in the sport of curling. I must take it up. Staying with winter sports, and as Ian has mentioned, we welcome to the AOC membership the sport of ski mountaineering, but affectionately known as skimo, not as I occasionally drop into ScoMo, which will debut at the Olympic Winter Games of Milan Cortina in 2026. And also acknowledge the excellent work undertaken by our team at the OWIA, who've built on the foundation and work of Jeff Henke, whose outstanding leadership we also celebrated last year. Marketing and digital is a key part of our operations, utilising digital assets to engage fans and stakeholders for the benefit of the member sports and our partners. An example of that was the successful Chasing Winter campaign that reached 26 million fans globally with team content. Olympics Unleashed passed the milestone of reaching 250,000 students. And we received many messages of thanks from teachers, in particular one this year from Mikathra, the district high school in Western Australia, which said, "It's so important for our kids to get these kinds of messages. It gives them hope for the future. Thank you for coming to visit us. It was a great opportunity for our youth." In 2022, Australian Olympic Changemaker identified nearly 1,000 young leaders across the country making a genuine difference in their communities, culminating in a national summit in Canberra of 24 students, which were selected by a panel of Olympians. The students were split into teams, the first time they'd ever met each other from right around the country, to come up with initiatives to ensure the youth of Australia are engaged and participating in sport by 2032. The initiatives they came up with made a whole lot of consultants, very expensive consultants, being engaged by various governments around the place, that showed them up actually, and I've sent them on to those consultants because I think they could learn from the youth. So we're in a good space in this country. We progressed several initiatives to advance Indigenous reconciliation through sport and the Olympic movement, including partnering with the Royal Australian Air Force to visit Torres Strait to celebrate NAIDOC Week, delivery of the pilot Australian Olympic Indigenous Coach Scholarships supported by Toyota in partnership with Basketball Australia and Indigenous Basketball Australia, incorporation of Aboriginal and Torres Strait artwork in the Olympic team uniform, which you was seen on the screen, and completed the first phase of our Reconciliation Action Plan with a second phase to start in 2023. Olympian Opportunities Program to support our Olympians and athletes continued, including games time support in the Beijing villages, career support, networking opportunities and athlete mental health. And we obviously continue to advocate strongly the 10+10 submission on the benefits sport delivers for the nation and propose a new investment model for sport. And because we all know this investment model cannot just be about more money for the sports. What is needed is the investment model must be a partnership with government, not just advocated by the AOC, but we had a good successful conversation yesterday with the CEOs of the sports and advocated together, which we do. To ensure we can deliver on our objectives, we also conducted an organisational capability and capacity review, and that was approved by the executive, and the changes that are set out in my report were implemented in early 2022. As part of that review, we established practices to work towards ensuring gender balance of staff and games team management, and currently the staff for the AOC represented 45% male and 55% female. We also addressed the changing responsibilities of the Olympic team management. These have significantly increased in complexity in regulatory and legal requirements and the subsequent financial commitment. The Paris team is looking at a budget now of about $25 million. The executive determined that it is no longer corporately responsible nor operationally appropriate for the accountability of the operations, the financial commitment, workplace health and safety of the summit team to rest with the chef de mission. Therefore, these responsibilities sit with the CEO, myself and our senior management team. Importantly, though, the chef de mission remains the custodian of team culture, and in that role includes ensuring that the planning we undertake and the delivery we undertake enables athletes and officials to perform at their best, and is obviously the spokesperson for the team in the lead up to and during the Games. And later this morning we'll have the pleasure of hearing from Anna Mears, our chef de mission for the Australian Olympic team for the Paris Games. Supporting the executive, senior management staff are the Athletes Commission, Indigenous Advisory Committee and Medical Commission, now complemented by new committees of legacy and impact, governance and representation on international federations. My thanks to the committee members for their considered advice and dedication. Binding the Olympic movement in Australia together is critical to success. Part of this challenge is undertaken by the State Olympic Councils, the State Olympic Advisory Committees, along with the Australian Olympians Associations. They all played a critical role in ensuring the Olympic movement is connected across Australia and Olympians can connect with each other to celebrate and, importantly, to give back. Our thanks to committee members for their effort and support. It's the same with the State and Territory Team Appeal Committees, now up and running to raise the funds to support the athletes of the Paris and Milan Cortina Olympic Games. Our thanks to the committee chairs and members for their time and their effort in this very challenging task. We partner with many organisations to get the job done. In 2022, we initiated further collaboration, welcomed new partners and established new forums to grow the number of partners. And our most important partners are you, the member sports. We exist to support you and act in your interests. Our interactions in 22 were across many areas of activity and took several forms, which are all noted in my report. May I thank the member sport presidents, the CEOs and management for their support and contribution. We enjoy working with you. In our commercial partners, the AOC is a very committed and involved group of official sponsors and suppliers who over the year joined with the AOC across a range of services for Olympians, athletes and sports, and also in furthering climate action and Indigenous reconciliation. In 2022, we renewed ASICS, Woolworths, Mondelez, News Corp, MSC Saatchi, and one of our longest-serving partners, Qantas, who flew the team to the 1948 London Games. Long-serving official suppliers, Sportscraft, Getty and Reed Mackay also renewed. The sponsor family was joined by Hancock Prospecting, great supporters of 4 Olympic sports, QMS Media and IOC global partners Deloitte and Games hospitality provider On Location. We can now also add to the list the Aegis Group, which signed just recently. They're a consulting, construction and engineering firm, sponsors of Paris 2024, and they've joined our group. We thank all our commercial partners and suppliers for their commitment and investment, which means the AOC remains on track to achieve the Paris Quad target of 70.9 million in sponsorship and licensing. So our thanks to Damien Mostyn and all the team at Sport 5, whose professionalism in managing the AOC commercial program is second to none, and the above success says it all. Our partners in Olympics Unleashed are the state governments of Queensland, New South Wales, South Australia, Western Australia and the Australian Capital Territory, without whom we could not deliver this outstanding program. So I extend our sincere thanks to the government ministers and departmental heads for their commitment, contribution and enthusiasm for the program. Our relationship with the Australian Sports Commission and the Australian Institute of Sport is forging a strong partnership for the benefit of Olympic sports. Our thanks to the ASC Chair, Josephine Sukkar, and CEO Kieran Perkins. Kieran was going to join us today, but sadly he's picked up COVID. Regular meetings were held between our respective senior managers covering issues from high performance, athlete welfare, information technology and driving participation. And the AOC was invited to contribute to the development of Australia's High Performance Strategy 2032+, and I'm a member of their strategy leadership group. So may I thank the Commission and the Federal Sports Minister, the Honourable Annika Wells, for the government's investment in time, resources and funding of Olympic sports. The same can be said of that of the state and territory institutes and academies. Our thanks to the governments for the financial investment in the institutes and to the CEOs and their staff for their dedicated efforts and support of Olympic athletes and sports. With our industry partners, Australian Commonwealth Games and Paralympics Australia, we worked on a number of joint initiatives. My thanks to their respective CEOs, Craig Phillips and Catherine Clark, who are with us this morning. We grew the number of parliamentary friendship groups from the federal and Queensland parliaments to include Tasmania and Western Australia. We'll look to expand these partnerships to the other parliaments in 2023. I thank the co-chairs of each of the friendship groups for their time and commitment to furthering the objectives of the Olympic movement in Australia. There is no better illustration of the importance of partnerships to get the job done than in relation to the tragic events in Afghanistan during 2021. Finally, in 2022, with the diplomatic support from the Australian Government and the operational support of our security advisors, Intelligent Risk, we evacuated athletes, sport officials and their families from Afghanistan safely into Australia. 31 people in total now call Australia home as a result of this endeavour. Partnerships extend to our relationships with fellow National Olympic Committees. In 2022, the President and I represented the AOC at the ANOC General Assembly in Seoul and the ONOC General Assembly in Suva. And importantly, the AOC is very engaged in supporting ONOC in advocating their strategy, Oceania, creating a home games advantage. The partnership has been recently strengthened by the election of the AOC President to the ONOC Executive Board. So my thanks to the IOC, ANOC and ONOC for their support of the Olympic movement in Australia, particularly through the solidarity programs and grants. In 2022, we focused on our partnership with Olympic Study Centres in Australia. Queensland University, University of Technology Sydney and Victoria University developed the relationship between the universities and with the AOC. The collaboration has been welcomed and I believe this is an untapped research resource that can benefit the AOC and the member sports. Apart from our member sports, our partnership with Brisbane 2032 and the Games partners, Queensland Government, Federal Government, Brisbane City Council and the Councils of South East Queensland is the most important to the future of the Australian Olympic movement over the next decade. The Organising Committee Board was formalised in 2022 with Olympic representatives being the IOC member John Coates, AOC President Ian Chesterman, Olympian athlete representative Bronte Barrett and myself, and this group is also joined on the board by Olympians Patrick Johnson, Nat Cook and Tracy Stockwell. We have a great relationship with the board chair Andrew Liveris and recently appointed CEO Cindy Hook. And the senior managers and I have participated in numerous workshops and sessions related to Games benefit, realisation, governance of the Games, delivery and legacy planning. The Olympic representatives on the board are playing an integral role in the early phase, ensuring sport and the athletes remain the centre of the Games and legacy planning. As required by our report under the heading Culture and Governance, has our statement of the government's framework and structure under which decision-making at the AOC is exercised. The statement reflects the importance that the AOC places on integrity and transparency. Financially, we finished the year with a surplus of $3 million. This is critical at this point in the Quad, because we're about to enter the period of high expenditure on the Summer Games team, and that will soon evaporate. In addition to the financial statements, for full clarity, the annual report also has sections detailing athlete and national federation funding, a breakdown of the AOC expenditure and our sources of income in full transparency. The Australian Olympic Foundation Investment Advisory Committee, chaired by Dr John Hewson, again provided steady hands in challenging markets, ensuring the Foundation continue to be able to support the operations and initiatives of the AOC. 2 new members were welcomed, Liz Lewin and Joe Townsend. Over the year, the AOF distributions to the AOC were $7.4 million. These distributions are critical to the financial strength of the AOC, ensuring we can budget with confidence over a quad to fund the Australian Olympic teams, which was the $35 million, and direct spend on athlete services and grants of $18 million. Our thanks to our auditors, EY, for their work and their gold star approval. That always helps as well. To the executive and members of the commissions and committee, many thanks for your support of myself and the senior management team and staff in delivering the results of 2022, a true team effort. To my senior managers and staff, thanks for getting stuff done. In closing, my personal thanks to the President, Ian Chessman. We have a great working relationship, ensuring we can steer the AOC through the challenges as they arise. And sporting organisations, and I've worked for quite a few now, are only successful if there's great synergy between the board, the committees and the senior management and staff. The AOC has such a synergy, and I trust the annual report reflects this. So I now propose that the 2022 annual report, financial statements and independent auditors report be received. Thank you very much.
Is there any discussion on the annual report or financial statements? Everyone's looking happy. So in that case, I am happy to put forward the motion. All those in favour, please indicate so by raising your hand. Thank you. I declare that the motion carried. Now it comes to my address, and I'm going to move up to the lectern. Thanks, everyone. It's nice to be here to be able to make this presentation. I think yesterday I did the short, humorous one, and today's the serious one. It's a great honour to be here today at my first AOC AGM as President in this, the 103rd year of our organisation's rich history. It's incredible history. It's been an exciting and a busy year, and I'm delighted to report that your executive has been working with a great sense of purpose in what are certainly challenging times. It's important to us to be accessible to you, our member sports. We welcomed the first round of President's Forum in Brisbane, Melbourne and Sydney last year, and we commit ourselves to continuing the openness and the dialogue in the coming 12 months. We also highly value the voice of the athlete as we tackle the opportunities and challenges that come before us. In the past 12 months, there's been plenty of both. The Brisbane 2032 Olympic and Paralympic Games being the greatest opportunity, while the situation in Russia and its appalling war on Ukraine weighs heavily on the world and indeed the Olympic movement. I'll come to those topics later. Our achievements on the field of play over the past year are a credit to our athletes and also the sports who work so hard to create those opportunities for them. But we know that maintaining these results is a huge task, given the system is working with declining funding in a world where many are spending more, and given we're being hit by high inflation and rising airfare and travel costs that impact on us more than most countries. Add in ever-increasing regulatory and reporting requirements, and this executive is aware of the stress this is causing you, our member sports. We'll continue to advocate for increased investment in you all to unlock the energy and the passion that exists within your organisations to grow sports from grassroots through to high performance. However, it would be disingenuous to tell you I expect any relief soon, although I am confident that our arguments are being heard. It's clearly understood that a successful home games takes a very successful home team, but the clock is ticking and the strain within the system is showing, and I don't need to tell this room that you're feeling it. We come off a hugely successful Tokyo Games, but that's nearly 2 years ago, and the system that helped to produce those performances is understandably struggling. Everything is going up except the funds to run the programs. And results don't come at the flick of a switch. So if Australia is to have a successful team in 2032, the system, the people that took us to that success in Tokyo need nurturing now. Paris is around the corner, LA not that far behind. While we are excited about Paris 2024, we know that that campaign to qualify and the campaign at the Games themselves will be the most expensive yet. The AOC alone, as Matt has mentioned, will spend $25 million to take the team to Paris, and your executive has just added a further $1.5 million in contingencies to cover the potentially higher international airfares. These are points that are being made to the federal government, and you heard Matt Carroll speak about this at the National Press Club just a few weeks back in March. I thank our Federal Minister for Sport, Annika Wells, for her ongoing support and being open to the dialogue of what we need, what our member sports need. I know she understands the issues and cares for the cause. We'll continue to advocate for increased investment in our members, and the Minister and the Government would expect nothing less of us. My thanks also do go to the Australian Sports Commission for their support of our members and for our good working relationship. I continue to meet regularly with Josephine Suker, and Matt has monthly meetings with Kieran Perkins. Unquestionably, the best thing I did in my first 12 months, along with Matt Carroll, members of our Indigenous Advisory Committee and some Athlete Commission representatives, was to go to Torres Strait in NAIDOC Week, taking our Olympics Unleashed program to the school students on Thursday Island. Wonderful place, Danny. I heard the truth-telling of the elders. I saw the beauty of the land and the waters, and I witnessed the sparkle in the kids' eyes as they saw Olympians in action and dared to dream. The AOC is an organisation that believes reconciliation with our First Nations people must be achieved. We've committed ourselves to pursue reconciliation with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islands peoples through sport, and this goal was embedded in our Constitution back in 2015 and lives in our work and our hearts. Yesterday, in a joint meeting of the AOC Executive and the AOC Athletes Commission, both the Executive and the Athletes Commission resolved to record our support for the Yes campaign at the upcoming referendum. We did not take this decision lightly, as we know there'll be those within the Olympic movement who will vote no, and we respect absolutely their right to do so. The Australian Olympic Committee, of course, has its own voice, our Indigenous Advisory Committee, so we sought their advice as to what would be an appropriate response by us. And under the thoughtful leadership of their chair, Patrick Johnson, the committee took their responsibility to guide us with great seriousness. I'm pleased to say that the AOC's decision to support constitutional recognition of our First Nations people and the voice is a decision of the AOC Executive and the AOC Athletes Commission, driven by the advice of our own Indigenous Advisory Committee. We believe that a yes vote continues this nation's path down a vital road to reconciliation. That's a road the AOC is firmly committed to through its reconciliation action plans. I cannot thank enough Patrick Johnson, our Athletes Commission Chair Kate Campbell, for their help in guiding the Executive on this and other matters. You will know that under my presidency and with this Executive and management, your voices will always be heard. And this listing is also important when we, as well as the whole Olympic movement, deal with the potential return of neutral athletes from Russia and Belarus to international competition. Without doubt, this is the most complex issue that I've had to deal with during my 2 decades with the AOC. Simply, there are no winners and there is no perfect outcome. There's unanimous support within the Olympic family that the Russian state must continue to pay a price for its clear breach of the Olympic truce and for its appalling attack on a sovereign nation, Ukraine. This includes no hosting events by Russia, no flags, no anthems, no colours, no participation of Russian government officials in sporting events. There's also unanimous support amongst the Olympic family that we must continue to assist the athletes of Ukraine where possible with direct financial support and through creating training and qualification opportunities which many of our European NOCs are assisting with. John Coates, as you know, noted at our last AGM, the AOC has contributed $100,000 to the IOC Solidarity Fund for the Ukraine athletes. Then, of course, there's the question of what to do with athletes from Russia and Belarus. Clearly, the Olympic Charter sets out that the role of the Olympics is to bring the athletes of the world together in peaceful competition. That's our mission. So, as you would expect, the executive has had deep discussions over this matter, and I know the AOC Athletes Commission has also created opportunities for voices around its table to be heard. The AOC remains in solidarity with the vast number of National Olympic Committees from around the world and with all our regional bodies, including our own Oceania National Olympic Committees, ONOC, in supporting the IOC's goal to bring the entire world together in the Olympic Games. Important to note is that the IOC has not yet made a decision about their participation of these athletes in Paris 2024. At the moment, the IOC has issued strict guidelines for international federations focusing on neutrality and controls around anti-doping requirements for when they are considering if neutral athletes from those two countries can return to their sport. This then becomes a sport-by-sport decision, which obviously has an impact on qualifications for Paris 2024. One senses there's still much to play out in the coming months, and we do not expect this matter to be resolved anytime soon. The AOC, for its part, will continue to engage in the dialogue with our key stakeholders, which includes the International Olympic Committee and other National Olympic Committees over the coming months. These are indeed troubling times for sport. They're troubling times for the world. They're troubling times for the world of sport. Brisbane 2032 has spent the past 12 months building a governance model and recruiting key staff. The organisation, under the leadership of President Andrew Liveris, is in very good shape, and we're delighted to have Cindy Hook in place as our CEO. The relationship between the leaders of Brisbane 2032 and the AOC is strong. I particularly want to thank IOC Vice President John Coates for his work in guiding all parties through these early stages, keeping us focused on what needs to be done now and ensuring we don't spend energy and money on matters that are best dealt with closer to the Games. Matt Carroll continues to build very good relationships between the AOC senior management team and that of Brisbane 2032, and that's really important to us. Queensland Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk, the Minister for the Olympics and the Paralympics, continues to display her full energy and commitment to bringing the resources of her state to make the Games a success, and I thank the Premier and her government. Importantly, Minister Wells also sits on our Brisbane Organising Committee, and I thank her and the federal government for their huge contribution to making the Games a success for the whole country. I'm very aware that Brisbane is still some time away and beyond the high-performance life of many of our athletes who are in action now. So the now, therefore, is very important. Paris 2024 is just over 12 months away, and LA is close behind, 2028, and that's exciting. I'm really thrilled to know that Anna Meares will lead our team as the chef de mission to Paris. As well as being a champion athlete, she's an outstanding human being and has wonderful leadership qualities. So Anna, I know, will do a great job. She's got a strong commitment to the athlete focus, sport-empowered model that was so successful in Tokyo. I'm also delighted to confirm that Anna will be supported by a brilliant group of leaders as Deputy chefs to mission. First up, Deputy Chair of the Athletes Commission, Olympic gold medalist, three-time Olympian Ken Wallace, who will also lead our team to the Pacific Games in November, returns to the deputy role, which he did so brilliantly in Tokyo. Great to have you on board, Kenny. Joining him will be our two four-time Olympians. I don't think they're here today, but they're both medalists, both again outstanding leaders. Mark Knowles from hockey and Bronwyn Knox from water polo. Rounding out the team of deputies will be two-time Olympic hurdler Kyle van der Kuip. Kyle was our first Indigenous Relationships Officer for our team in Tokyo. It's the first time we'd had fun, and as well as supporting the then 16 First Nations athletes, he brought great meaning to all the team members, showcasing the great Indigenous history that our nation shares. Kyle continued to play that role in Paris, not just in the main village, but across all our sites, given we have nearly 1/3 of the team that lives outside the main village. It's a new look. It's a new generation leadership team, and I know they'll do a great job, and we wish them well. I think it's important to talk a little bit about how the Olympic world is changing in Olympic Games. Paris will be the first Games under the IOC's new norm. The spread of events and athlete accommodation shows the new direction of the Games of the future. The new norm is not just two words, it's not just a phrase, it represents real change in the way that the Olympic Games are run. To ensure the future of the Games, they must become sustainable, economically, socially, environmentally. And this will impact on every user group, National Olympic Committees, athletes, the IOC, international federations, media, sponsors and spectators. Venues will be existing or temporary wherever possible. Venues are also likely to be smaller, with the emphasis on prioritising access for spectators. Villages will be smaller too. Athlete numbers are capped at 10,500 people, and despite sports systems becoming more sophisticated with increased entourages of sports medicine, sports science, coaching support, accreditations for such positions are not increasing at all. Athletes will always remain at the heart of the Olympics. The Games are still the platform for athletes to test themselves against the best in the world, but their experience will change too. Hence, as a team, we need to work even harder and smarter to give our sports and our athletes what they need to be their best, to take on the best. I'm delighted that Alex Bowman has joined us for the Paris campaign as Head of Performance Services to ensure that his expert lens is brought to all these decisions. The AOC will prioritise what is the greatest importance to our athletes. That is, that each gets their chance to produce their best performance on their Olympic day. While, as mentioned, the quest for increased investment in your programs is something that was ongoing, there are some of our member sports who receive little or no federal government high performance funding. The AOC is firmly of the view that a country with more Olympians is a better country. So we'll continue to support those sports that receive little or no funding with the direct grant from us to make sure that athletes from those sports have the best chance to qualify and perform for Australia. We're very aware that everybody's costs are going up, so in the lead up to Paris, we'll raise that quad funding for those sports from $100,000 to $125,000, and we're advocating, of course, to the federal government for additional funding totalling $18.3 million for programs, for program sports that are funded by the AIS. We have included Paralympics in this program as well. Our winter sports start a new quad after the success of Beijing 2022, and we've released our 4-year funding guidelines through to Milano Cortina 2026, which can be seen on our website. These sports that receive no high performance funding will now receive $150,000 over the quad, up from $100,000 in the last quad. Sadly, we have lost some of the greats of our Olympic movement over the past year. You've already seen the tribute that we've paid to all those that passed, but there are two that I'd like to reflect on further: Phil Coles AM and Doug Donoghue AM, who both gave exceptional service to the AOC. Both life members, both guardians of the foundation, both people who are important to my development in the Olympic Committee when I was starting out, and I'm sure to many others as well. I was thrilled to see Phil, a wonderful athlete himself, at the slalom paddle events in Tokyo last year, at the city of one of his 3 Olympic Games as an athlete. Jess Fox triumphed, and Phil could not have been happier that day. Phil was always there for the athlete, and his stance leading the team as chef de mission to Moscow against the will of the Australian government, and indeed the view of many Australians at the time, showed that he put athletes first, even when it came at great personal cost. He'll be sorely missed, and our condolences remain with Patricia and his family. Doug Donoghue was a man who worked brilliantly behind the scenes for many decades. He was a major player in helping to win the Games for Sydney, as indeed Phil was, and was instrumental in setting up the Sydney Games Legacy Fund, our foundation, and then managing and nurturing that foundation for many years. Doug was a great rowing man, and I attended his memorial service and came to further understand the contribution to so many in that sport in his quiet and unassuming way. To the present, I believe, as Matt said, that the AOC is in very good shape. The executive and management, through the excellent leadership of CEO Matt Carroll, and it's committed to being a member-focused organisation with a collaborative approach. We're all in this together. We have moved to maximise the skills on our executive by adding some new committees that report directly to the executive. I thank Vice President Evelyn Halls for chairing our Governance Committee, Kitty Chiller for the International Relations Committee, and Mark R. Bibb for the Impact and Legacy Committee. Vice President Matt Allen continues to give me great support, and he heads up the Finance Commission. Elisa Camplin-Warner is a new chair of the Audit and Risk Committee. Thanks for taking that one off me, Elisa. And Craig Carraher remains chair of our Culture, Remuneration and Nominations. All doing an excellent job and supported really well by our other executive members, Kath Fattel, Liz Scott and Mike Murphy. John Coates, of course, sits on our executive in his capacity as an IOC member. Many have asked me what it's like to have the president of the past 32 years still sit around the board table. Can I say that John has been a wonderful help, stepping back from his past role to give me space, while always prepared to step forward to help. His work with Brisbane 2032 has been particularly invaluable, and I thank him for his continuing support and guidance. As mentioned, we're extremely fortunate to have Matt Carroll as our CEO, and he leads a highly talented team. To all our senior management team and all our staff, a big thank you. I see how hard you work, and we're fortunate to have you. 2022 was a big year for the AOC, with the Beijing Winter Olympic Games following Tokyo just by 6 months, and we continue to expand our community programs, our Olympian services and our reach. When I walk into the Sydney office, as I often do, I could not be more proud to see the quality of the people that we have working for us, and I rejoice in seeing their passion and their output. Matt and I have formed a very effective leadership team, and I hope our member sports are pleased to see that we work so well together to drive the Olympic movement forward in this country. Thank you, Matt, for your ongoing commitment, energy and expertise. To all my executive, a big thank you. We work as a team. It's been wonderful to have new faces in a couple of gold medalists, in Liz Scott and Elisa Camplin, bring their energy to the table as well. While our Constitution cannot mandate gender balance, thank you to the members for, at the last election, delivering and choosing 5 men and 5 women. I'm also very pleased that our Executive Committee chairs that report to the committee achieve gender balance as well. And our new Paris 2024 leadership team sees just our second female chef de mission. It's ongoing work for us. To all the commissions and the committees, thank you for your efforts, for caring and for making a difference. Particular thanks to our Investment Advisory Committee of the Australian Olympic Foundation, Dr. John and your team. You will see in our annual report we have had a strong result in a difficult market, and on Monday we'll circulate to you the report for the first 3 months of 2023, where we continue to see progress again in a difficult market. My goal, our goal, is to be an athlete-focused, sports-focused organisation that delivers for our sports and our athletes, and one that spreads the benefits of us being a strong Olympic nation to all Australians. Thank you for your support. We're stronger together and there are exciting times ahead. Let's now look back, shall we, at a nice little video of the year that was, 2022, and thank you very much.
It has been an incredible experience. No words can, describe what the Olympics are like.
Everyone in the Australian team, they're such a great bunch of humans.
This is what it's supposed to feel like. This is what the whole thing was supposed to feel like.
I would love to be a coach to train young Olympians to reach their goals and give it all they've got.
Love to be playing as an athlete for the Matildas.
I hope to be a gymnast. It's one of my passions.
This is just opening a lot more avenues for me to learn and grow, and with that teach kids and help them learn and grow at the same time too.
Look at that!
It was a big year. And next year's a big year, and there's a big runway into Paris 2024. I'm, as I've mentioned several times, delighted to have a 6-time medalist as our chef de mission, a new generation leader and someone who's going to do a fantastic job. And I thought it'd be nice if we could all hear from Anna direct. So it gives me great pleasure to welcome Anna Meares to the lectern to give us some of her thoughts. Thanks, Anna.
Thank you very much. I'd like to start today by acknowledging the land on which we meet and the Gadigal people, and pay my respects to their elders past, present and the future.
and also welcome any Indigenous and Torres Strait Islander people that are joining us here today. It's wonderful to have this opportunity to address you here as the Chef de Mission for Paris in 2024. I'm very excited to work with you and your sports and the athletes towards next year's Games, and I know the magnitude that is in front of us, having spent the last 5 months working with the senior management team through meetings and the planning processes, understanding the things that we need to come together on and work and the things that still need clarification. There is no doubt that Paris next year will be unique and challenging, and I'm already working with our team to ensure that our athletes are provided with the best high-performance environment at those Games. We're confident that our athletes will be ready to go no matter what, and I'll be on the ground to ensure that we will be too. As an athlete, I competed at 4 Olympic Games, and I had success and failure. I understand that that coin has two sides. I was intense. I had a stare that could drive fear into an opponent. Unfortunately, it doesn't work on my husband, but that's another story. I could hold body language that was imposing. I was aggressive, intimidating, focused, driven, and deliberate. I've been the rookie of the team. I've been the matriarch. I've been the deer in headlights, and I've been the flag bearer. I've since been the wife of a coach, the mother of 2 under 3, a foster parent. I've worked in the charity and the community spaces, and last year as the general manager at the Commonwealth Games. As a person, I'm borderline introverted, kind, empathetic, considerate, and I put my family first. I knew then as an athlete, and I know now how to flick that switch. There has always been 2 Annas, and some might say 3. I appreciate, therefore, that every athlete is different. Different in how they operate, what makes them tick, how they handle pressure, and how they choose to switch on and switch off. As chef, I want to celebrate and encourage the individuality of our athletes, their quirks and their character. This will help them, I feel, be real in themselves to enable performance and connect back home with the millions of Australians that will watch and cheer them on. I have said often that sport to me is the real-life reality TV show. Millions will tune in and watch as we succeed or lose. They will see elation and despair and every emotion in between. There are so many facets to Olympic sport that many will not see, and the focus will be our athletes, the competition, and winning. Winning is not easy, and given our flooded history of heroes, champions, and Olympic gold medalists, it's easy to think otherwise. Our best record at Olympic Games is 17 gold medals at Athens and Tokyo, and our athletes from Tokyo in 2021 came home with 99 medals. While for sports, I respect that outcome is important. We are in a performance-based industry after all, and I understand the challenges that we all face. It shows simply that winning is hard. It doesn't happen often, and for many of those who form our team will not come home with gold medals. I want to celebrate our team's performances and achievements, and that doesn't stop at gold medals. I want our sports and athletes that form the Australian Olympic team to take pride in the fact that while they may not win, they can be the best teammate that they can be, the best competitor that they can be, and best role model for the communities and our country that they can be. Don't get me wrong, I love to win and I hate to lose. But I will pay credit and value the achievement of a silver, of a bronze, of making a final and seeing an athlete wear that green and gold and giving it everything that they have got. This is how I believe you win well and create a culture and environment that will allow the athletes to showcase their hard work through the actions and performances of sportsmanship, which is what so many in the sporting world and the world at large revere and respect Australians for. And to be quite honest, I'm looking forward to Paris 2024 next year and working with you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Anna, and yes, we are all looking forward to working with you yourself. We now move to item 8 on the agenda, the award of the Order of Merit, and we're going to ask Evelyn Hall, our Vice President, to come forward and read the citations while Ian Cheston, the President, presents the awards. Evelyn.
Thanks, Matt. The AOC may confer the Order of Merit on a person who, in the opinion of the Executive, has achieved remarkable merit in the sporting world, either through personal achievement or contribution to the development of sport. A brief profile of our award recipients was circulated with the agenda for this meeting. Unfortunately, Mr. Kerry Stokes AC was unable to make it today. I'll now read the citations for the first recipient, Kerry Stokes. Kerry Stokes is chair of Seven West Media and has been an immense presence in Australian business over many decades. His business interests span media, construction, machinery, agriculture, property and other fields. Kerry is also an extraordinarily devoted supporter of the Olympic movement in Australia, with the Seven Network pioneering its creative coverage of Olympic Games over many decades. Through his unstinting support for Australian Olympians and their endeavours, Kerry Stokes has ensured the Olympic flame has burned brightly in Australia, publicly declaring Olympians represent the best of Australia. Channel 7's long-standing commitment to the Olympic Games comes from the wellspring of Kerry Stokes' personal zeal in supporting Olympians and allowing their stories to be shared with all Australians. Our second recipient is Mr. Andy Kay. Andy Kay has been the driving force behind Channel 7's coverage of the Olympic Games over many decades. As head of Olympics, Andy has provided expert guidance to the AOC to ensure that athletes and our Olympic sports have been showcased to Australians in the best possible way. He has always understood the power of the Olympian stories and the profound effect the Olympic journey can have on our understanding of the competition itself. The record-breaking ratings on free-to-air, terrestrial TV and digital channels at the Tokyo 2020 Games held in 2021 provided the Olympic movement with an unprecedented opportunity to tell our story. With his decision to retire as head of Olympics and general manager of Channel 7 Adelaide in 2023, Andy leaves behind an enduring legacy for the Olympic movement in Australia. Congratulations, Andy.
Thank you. Doesn't seem quite right to be honoured for something that was so much fun, but I'm taking this. And I am particularly thrilled that Steve and my chairman, Kerry Stokes, are honoured on the same day. Without going into details of a very long story, Kerry was at the Bird's Nest on the night Steve won, and we talk often of what he felt and what he brought to us as producers from watching performances like Steve. So it is so apt you're both being awarded together, and I congratulate the two of you. Anna, that's really inspiring, and it reminded me of a lot of things I used to say to our people at Seven. We always said there were two Olympic teams. The one that you compete at and the one that we provide. We also had to be the best to make the Seven Olympic team. So I accept this on behalf of the thousands of people I worked with. And because the award is not an individual award, I actually kept this really quiet. But I noticed one of my staff managed to sneak in here. And Taya, who I actually stole from the AOC years ago, you are the very reason that we have done so well as an Olympic channel. So thank you, and thank you for sneaking in here. This would not be mine without the athletes. You are the ones who allowed us to tell your stories, watch your endeavours, watch your success and failure, and share it with an enormous amount of people. So for that, we as a network are very grateful. It's been said often today that the Olympics is based on partnerships. The partnership Seven had with the AOC and continues to have will never be beaten. Through 3 presidents, Ian, John Coates, Kevin Gosper, thank you. To the CEO, Matt Carroll, thank you. At an operational level, if we did not have a great relationship with the AOC, it wouldn't have happened. I see Julie Dunstan in here. You're a rock at Seven. Thank you. Strath Gordon, James Edwards, all your teams wouldn't happen without you. With the Sport 5 commercial team, Damien Mostyn, Jess Herford, wouldn't have happened. So I retire next Friday after 40 years, I think 14 games. This could not be a better farewell gift. Thank you.
Our third recipient of the Order of Merit is Mr. Steve Hooker, OAM OLY. Steve Hooker is a 3-time Olympian and Australia's most successful pole vaulter, winning gold at the Beijing Games in 2008 when he cleared 5.96 metres. With a personal best of 6.06 metres, Steve remains 4th in the pantheon of the world's greatest vaulters of all time. First representing Australia at the 2004 Athens Games, Steve then won Beijing gold and also reached the final in London 2012 before retiring from the sport in 2014. Steve has remained passionate about the potential for athletes in both their sporting careers and their lives beyond sport. As chair of the Athletes Commission from 2016 to 2021, he initiated several important and enduring initiatives. Firstly, the development of the Olympic Oath ahead of Tokyo 2020, a set of words designed to reflect the culture, values, and the unique place Olympians hold in Australian society. Steve also established a close liaison with the newly formed AOC's Indigenous Advisory Committee. Steve also personally devised a comprehensive survey of Australian Olympians to understand their position on the complex issue of self-expression at the Games. Steve Hooker is an Olympic champion in every sense of the word and has made an immeasurable contribution to the Olympic movement, both in his time as an athlete and in retirement, as he sought to ensure that athlete voice was heard and understood at all times. Steve, please accept the award.
Thank you, that was a lot. I'm very humbled. I do want to acknowledge the other 2 award recipients today. As someone who's had the privilege of being on both sides of the camera with Channel 7, I can say with absolute confidence that the passion and the drive of that team is aligned with Olympians in every way. And the way that you've told the athlete's story, all I can say is thank you. You've put us on a pedestal and you've told that story with authenticity and with absolute passion. So thank you very much to you and Kerry. Yeah, give a round of applause. It's amazing. Off the top, that was a lot of words about me, but I was part of a team. The first people I want to thank are the Athlete Commission members that I shared that role with over 9 years. It was a very interesting time. There were lots of complex issues we had to deal with. And in particular, I want to thank Kim Brennan, who was my partner in crime. She's one of the smartest and most driven people I know. And I don't think either of us could have done it without each other over that period of time. To the current Athlete Commission members, led by Kate and Kenny, it's amazing to see you carrying on that legacy and driving the role forward and keeping athlete representation strong and at the forefront of the Olympic movement. To Patrick Johnson, to Danny and the rest of the Indigenous Advisory Committee, The meetings that we shared, it was a privilege to be a part of them, and I'm really proud of the initiatives that we started together. They're important, and I loved being a part of it with all of you. Matt Carroll and the AOC team, thank you for the help in bringing our initiatives to life. If you don't have the organisational support behind a group like an Athletes Commission, they're just ideas that go nowhere. In particular, I want to thank Daniel Kowalski, James Edwards and Meg Sission for all of the work that you've done behind the scenes to make it an effective Athlete Commission over that period of time. To the executive that are on stage and in the audience, thank you so much for empowering us as a group. You really did. You came to us with complex issues, you used us as a resource, and I think we resolved things in a truly collaborative manner, and I really appreciate that. And on a selfish level, I know I learned an awful lot over that period of time, being in the orbit of such impressive individuals in a truly pivotal time in the Australian Olympic movement. To the sports leaders in the room, you have an incredible resource at your disposal in your athletes. If you've got something that seems hard, if you've got something that seems challenging, go to them. Ask them how they feel about it. Ask them what they think about it. Their feedback will provide you the insight you need to make a decision. And finally, our Olympians in the room. All of you competing, retired, thank you so much for your engagement and the feedback you provided our group over the time that I was involved in the Athlete Commission. It was your points of view, your guidance that pointed us in the right direction, and we simply had to action that point of view. It was an honour to represent all of you. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Steve. We now move to just about the final item on the agenda, which is the presentation of green and gold runway certificates. You've heard that phrase used, and we sort of put it together a few years back now, and it's been taken on board by Brisbane 32 and governments and so forth. But it's not just a catchphrase. The green and gold runway is very real, and it's an opportunity to celebrate all that's good about sport. It's an opportunity to recognise the effort and dedication and investment that sports are making in their international championships and hosting of those championships. And so what we've decided as we head down this green and gold runway to 2032, that we will acknowledge each of the sports who are hosting international events during the course of that, now 9-year period, to celebrate with them and to recognise the work that they do to bring about great events, great sporting events in Australia. So we start with, and Ian is going to present these, the Oz Cycling, the UCI Road World Championships in Wollongong in September 2022, and the UCI BMX Freestyle World Cup Gold Coast in December 2022, and to accept that, the CEO, Marnie Fenchner. Stay there. No, and moving now to Basketball Australia, the FIBA Women's Basketball World Cup Sydney in September 2022, and the President, John Kari, to accept. Into the world of swimming, the FINA World Swimming Championships Short Course, Melbourne, December 2022, and President Michelle Gallant to accept. And finally, in February 2023, well, we sort of crept into this year, one which I was present at, and to talk about taking on the forces of nature with electrical storms, rainstorms, windstorms, the World Athletics Cross Country Championships in Bathurst in February 2023, President Jan Swinhoe to accept. And as the years roll on, we'll have this stage fuller and larger and have to extend to fit all the World Cups and Championships which are coming. And as always, anything we can do to assist in your hosting of a major event, please always reach out. We are there to help and we'd love to do it. Thank you very much.
We've got a microphone. Thank you. Thanks, Matt, and congratulations to those national federations. It really does keep sport on the front page or the back page when we have these major events coming out here. Is there any general business? No? Well, in which case, I'll thank you all for your attendance and close the meeting. And hand over to Matt Carroll, who's just got a few closing remarks, but thank you very much.
The closing remarks are saying thank you. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. We're getting out the door a little bit early, which is always a good thing. And if you move out of the meeting, we're about to have the media conference down the front and invite the media to come forward. Thanks very much, and we'll catch you during the rest of the year. Thank you.